Hello everybody, the purpose of this recording, or this tutorial, is how to set up a table using Microsoft Access. We click on File, and you're going to choose New from the File menu. Notice nothing pops up on the screen. You have to go over to the right hand side where the task pane is, and select Blank Database. Immediately a save window comes up, and it requires you to save your database. So we're going to go ahead and save this to the desktop, and I'm going to save it as tutorial. And then we click on Create, and that creates your database. The next step, we look at these are the database objects. You've got your tables, your queries, your forms, your reports. We're just going to cover tables. There's 3 different ways that you can create a table: in Design View, using the wizard, and just by entering data. And we're going to cover Design View in the wizard. So we click on Design View, and this is the design view of a table. Now I'm going to make up some fields. Artist, it's going to be text. By default, the artist field is 50 characters wide. I'm going to change it to 25. The next is going to be album. That's also going to be a text field, and again I'm going to change that to 25 characters because I think 50 is a little much for an album name. The next field name is going to be year. Since my years are going to be numbers, I'm going to put number field in there. Using a number field also allows me to do things like query for albums that were released after 1970, for example. You'd have to have a number field to do mathematical functions. And then my song. Now we click on this. This is called the toggle switch because you can switch from design view to datasheet view very easily. Right now you're in design view, and design view is what you design your table in. Anytime you switch, it requires you to save your table. So we're going to type in album table. Okay, and this says we don't have a primary key defined. For now, we don't need one. I'm going to go ahead and start typing information into my table. This is called Populating the Database. So I'm going to populate it with some make-believe information. I'm going to put 3 or 4 songs in here. If we would have chosen a primary key, that primary key, for example, if it was the year, it would only allow you to have one album from, let's say, 1997, because the primary key is a way to find unique records. So primary keys are best used, for example, for customers, where each customer has a unique customer number. And they're also used for making relationships between tables, which we'll cover at another lesson. So for now, we don't have a primary key. Alright, you notice that that album name doesn't fit, so I just double-click between the field names. Double-clicking between the field names auto-fits them. Now I'm going to go back to Design View because I forgot to fill out this column. And this just basically says what kind of information is in each of the fields. So I'm going to get this populated real quick with the information that's in the field. And then when I go to hit my toggle switch to go back to datasheet view, again it's going to tell me that I have to save it. And yes, I want to save it. Alright. Now we can do some sorting. Click Z to A. Notice how the album information goes with the year, and back A to Z. Alright. That's one way to do that. I'm going to close this table because I told you earlier that I'd also show you how to create one using the wizard. You see the album table is right there now in the table list. Okay, when you open the table wizard, there's all kinds of different tables. that you can choose from. I'm going to go ahead and choose customers. By clicking this arrow, I can add fields. This arrow removes fields. The double arrow adds every field, and the double arrow back takes away all the fields. So I'm going to choose customer ID so that I can show you the primary key. I'm going to use customer name, and I think I'll use city and state or province. I'm going to use that one so that I can show you how to rename a field, because I don't like state or province. I'm just going to make it state. Click on rename field and go ahead and type in state there. Say OK. Okay, this says, what do you want to name your table? And they give you a name by default. It's customers, so we'll leave it that. And this asks, do you want it to set a primary key for you? I said no, I'll set it myself. Okay, so you get 3 choices. I'm going to choose numbers that I enter when I add new records. That way I can make up my customers. It wants to know if it's related to anything. Since there's no customer numbers under album, then it's not related to that one. We're going to enter the data directly into the table, and we can get going. Notice we're not in design view now, we're in table view, and we're entering our data in here. And I'm just making up customer ID numbers and business names. Again, this is called populating the table. Each one of these little boxes that I'm typing in is called a cell. Each customer is a record. Go back to design view, and you can see right there there's a little picture of a key, and up here the primary key is highlighted, so you know that that's your primary key. Again, I didn't put any information in the description column, but you really should do that when you set up your tables. Okay, you can drag the field names to resize it. And notice we didn't make any changes, so it doesn't ask me to save. When I close it, it's going to ask me to save. Access will always ask you to save when you close it. And now that ends the tutorial.